Wake up, buy here, pay here people. It's a beautiful day. Go grab yourself another cup of joe and say hello to Jim and Michelle Rhoads on the Buy Here, Pay Here Morning Show. Take it away, you two.
Everybody, good morning or afternoon if you're on the East Coast. No, 9, 10, 11, 12.
No,
yeah.
it's
9, 10,
late
11.
morning.
It's late morning.
People
Late morning.
People
It's still
past
morning.
The wake up hour.
And so I'm hoping that you're like not too Java'd out.
Yeah.
You know, grab a cup of coffee, that kind of thing.
We had an early start to our day over here.
We did.
Took a couple of phone meetings and had some extra stuff going on, plus preparing for a meeting that comes later in the day. So.
Yeah. Oh, and those of you guys who listen frequently know that coffee time is pretty sacred. So like when Jim gets a text and says, "Hey, can you call me?" It's like, are we interrupting coffee time to take a call?
Yeah.
And we did. And you know, I'm glad that we did.
Yeah.
So
sometimes you just you do what you do when you have to do it.
Absolutely.
So, right?
Absolutely. So
quick updates.
Okay.
We have decided, first of all, last night was our last V8 meeting of 2024. We had kind of concise schedule because of the holidays. So we're kind of officially finished with
are we on like so many companies the 2 weeks or the week between Christmas and New Year's, they're like, we're not working, but we're still working.
I'm gonna still be working. We're gonna take some break from some client meetings next week. But the week after we'll be back in business.
You know, when you're the one that directs all of the stuff, it's like, okay, so we're trying to wrap up the year and make sure we've got everything ready to start the year off and going. So,
and we've got a meeting with we're calling them team now. We're engaging some folks to join our team and
got
play
a good
different
team
roles.
Meeting happening today.
So we're kind of trying to take some steps with our own business, and it kind of ties into our conversation. We got dealer Calvin Ruth from Oklahoma standing by, and he's going to talk about his own growth, and so it's something we're familiar with, and I look forward to kind of having our audience get to know Calvin a little bit. We've spent a little bit of time with him. I met him just here and there at conferences, and of course there's among those people that you know through social media more, but part of what I wanted to share was that what prompted me, first he was featured in a dealer spotlight for NIADA in their publication. And then I saw some of his videos socializing his where he acquired some real estate and growing his recon site.
We see this kind of question, this kind of thing coming up quite frequently with our dealer and clients, V8 and personal coaching clients. It's a big question for a lot of them about shouldn't I, am I doing it right? You know, all of that. And those of you guys who know us, it's like, we're I'm not going to try to use very definitive words. We advise, we don't tell. And so it's like, well, based on this, it looks like it's a great idea. Or here, have you thought about this or whatever? So
the thing I find myself saying a lot is, certainly through V8 with our coaching and the morning show, we just try to gather information and present it to dealers in a way that they can make their own decision. Like, dealers are smart. They're way smarter than they get credit for being sometimes. I don't have to tell them what to do. I just put information.
Well, and that's Jim has had to teach me little by little. It's like, okay, please don't use the phrase, well, you need to. He's like, it's like, say we advise or we strongly advise or we strongly advise, and then let people, do their thing. Cause it's, running a business.
Sometimes I'll resort to saying, look, if you don't do this, I'm going to quit taking your calls. So no, I'm kidding.
Bert. You did interrupt coffee time, and it's okay.
Oh no, it's good. It's all good.
But it was when we saw the message, we were like, okay, do you
sounded urgent.
And it's one of those things that we both look at each other. It's like, is it a good? Okay, then go.
Bert, this was different this morning. A lot of mornings we're not prepared for the morning show. This morning we were prepared. We were ready. So we were.
That is absolutely true. Should we bring our guest in?
Let's do that.
All right. So let's bring him on in. Calvin, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
If you'll allow me, I'm going to introduce Calvin because one, he's a fellow Okie. I'm originally from Oklahoma. He's in Northeast Oklahoma. I'm originally from Northwest Oklahoma. When I was a dealer, I had my dealership in Southeast Oklahoma. So, and you and I have been to Tulsa. We've been out there in that market, and And his dealership is called Scissortail Auto Sales. Is that right?
Yeah, it's the Oklahoma State Bird.
There you go.
Very nice.
Of course, I knew that, and I was going to tell Michelle, but you beat me to it. But yeah, that's good stuff. And it's also the Scissortail is on the license plates in Oklahoma. You see a lot of those, the blue and white license plates.
Yeah, on the older ones, they recently changed it.
Oh yeah,
plates. Yeah,
and so if you're cool in Oklahoma, you don't have one of the old ones anymore. I mean, And
I couldn't tell it was a Scissortail anyway, Calvin. I looking at you have to kind of study that license plate to even realize that's what it was.
Yeah.
But anyway, enough about that. I think it's a cool name for your business, and we reached out to you because I saw, first of all, that NIAD was featuring you in a dealer spotlight. They did an article.
Congratulations! That's kind of fun.
Yeah, that was pretty neat. Thanks.
Yeah. And so I had also seen that part of what was happening with you is you were making some investments, especially in your recon side of your business, trying to solve probably some pipeline stuff. And so I think before we get into that, I kind of want to give folks the background. I asked you before we started, you started your dealership in 2012. You then added an RFC and stepped into reinsurance about 2019. So I'm just trying to give folks a feel of kind of your own progression and growth, as a dealer and how that's kind of evolved. You want to tell folks a little bit about what you did before you were a buy here, pay here dealer? How did you?
I was actually an X-ray operator on the pipeline. I did that for about 4 or 5 years. I helped my dad open up a gas station, and then there was a spot in the back, an old car wash that I opened up a detail shop. So I did a lot of details for a lot of buy here, pay here's in town.
Okay.
That were open at the time. Eldorado Motors and Joe Cooper, Easy Credit Auto.
Okay.
But I don't think Eldorado's in business anymore, but
maybe not.
In Oklahoma City, I think. So
yeah. So so talk to me about why become a buy here, pay here dealer. Like, we know when, but why chose that business?
I don't know what I was thinking. To be I knew I wanted to do something. And my girlfriend at the time, she needed a car, and this was back, I don't know, 2009, 2010. And we just started driving up and down 11th Street, and went inside, started talking to him about prices and this and that. And there was a Ford Escort there for sale they wanted $89.95. And I just started thinking about it. I'm like, $89.95 for a Ford Escort, like, this is crazy, Yeah. So, but then I just started doing some investigation, and I said, well, shit, I'm gonna try it out, see what happens.
Yeah,
that's also probably why you see so many coffee shops, because people walk in and say $7 for a cup of coffee, right? So then now you got all these coffee shops everywhere.
And by the way, Jimmy Rambo from Spartan is just great guest. You must be working with him, and you know him, but he just wanted to say, hey.
Oh, yeah. I used to work with those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're
awesome.
Yeah, obviously you've grown your business, and so talk to me about like what kind of challenges you kind of had to face and overcome, and obviously as it relates to your decision to step into to invest in some real estate for your recon part of your business.
As far as recon challenges,
sure.
Right now, I mean, I'm wanting to sell more cars and service more vehicles, so I mean, I bought an old car wash about 10 years ago, and it's kind of a converted service lot on 2/3 of an acre. So I can't really fit too much inventory on the lot. And my mechanics, they work out of like each wash bay, closed in wash bay. So pretty tight quarters. Only got like one lift per mechanic. And so I was like, well, I figured I'd look for something a little bit bigger, and I couldn't find anything to buy. So I figured I'd just buy some land and build what I want, where I want. So
right on.
Good. So I saw some of your videos that you were socializing some of what you were doing, kind of your plans around that. And you shared with us that you're currently not taking any service off the street. You don't do, custom repairs from outside. You just do your own recon, and then you do obviously customer pay or customer repairs to support probably your reinsurance program.
Yeah, that's all we do. We don't have enough manpower or time to do that.
Are you anticipating when you've because you've bought the land, that you're going to grow into having more time to do that, or is that just something that you're not interested in doing?
I don't think so. I did buy a wheel alignment machine. I might do wheel alignments, but for the most part, I just want to focus on buying buy here, pay here inventory and getting it fixed up and financing it.
Yeah.
So on the timing of this, is your decision to go do that is really just to solve a recon problem, really to solve a flow of inventory problem?
The reason why I chose to build another facility, a bigger facility, and a second sales location is to sell more cars and to grow my portfolio. I've been kind of stuck for the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years in the same, same size portfolio. I've grown a little bit this last year, I think about 15%, but I want to double my portfolio. So, if my charge-offs are going to remain the same and I'm still going to sell the same amount of cars, I kind of need to double my sales volume to get there.
Gotcha. So I think as I hear that, one of the things we've been talking about in our V8 groups, and I know you're a member of a 20 group, so I'm sure that you guys have conversations around these kind of things, is probably amongst the things that would have influenced your thought process and decision to move forward, is kind of feedback you get from them. But when you say you kind of shared some of your, increasing your sales, is there like a goal? Like, you're just looking to like double your portfolio? Is there a number? And I'm just trying to understand like what the goal is and why.
Yeah, right now I think I'm around 600. I got about 6 million on the street, but I'd like to be in the 1,000 range.
Okay.
12 million, somewhere around there.
Okay.
But, so why? What is it that's like, this is where I want to go?
I mean, what else am I going to do? So,
you just got to keep busy. Yeah. So part of the reason that even comes up, and we obviously expect you to have a lot of success in that area, and we just are mindful, like I think at this juncture, one of the things we've been talking about in our V8 groups is the idea that we've been recently starting to analyze cash flow and especially positive cash flow, right? What does it take to get to a place where you're positive cash? And one of the things that we're seeing is that some of our dealers that are large portfolios, 1,000, 2,000 accounts, they're not necessarily any closer percentage-wise to positive cash flow than the others. So I think this is why we kind of want to understand as we talk through this on behalf of dealers that are new or dealers that next year will be making the same decision you're making, is like, what is the goal? Obviously, it's probably would be some motivation around cash flow. And we're just saying, let's kind of analyze that and recognize, what does it really take to get cash positive and why does it matter? Right. So this is part of why we're asking and we're drilling down to, why that target?
Yeah, well, I mean, I want to be more profitable. And I've kind of got the personnel now. I don't think I'm going to have to hire that many more people to make it happen.
Okay.
So I just, that's the thing. I mean, just more cash flow coming in. I'd like to be able to just kind of snowball it,
Yeah.
As far as keeping the expenses. Well, last year was tough. I mean, with all the charge-offs from the COVID stuff, but this year we're doing a lot better.
So talk to me about your reinsurance. Like, we don't have to go into details, but would you say, like, if you got another dealer who's considering reinsurance, would you say, yeah, that's been a win for me?
It's definitely a win. I mean, you defer your income. So put as much money as you can into your reinsurance. So for sure.
Yeah. So it's been a win that way. You probably also have saved some charge-offs by having, I don't know if you do a warranty or service contract or what you do on the mechanical side. You can share a little bit about that. I just think it's helpful for those. A lot of our listeners on the morning show are newer dealers. They're brand new to the business, and we're trying to help them kind of understand, what these things are and why it matters. And especially, I can say that of the dealers I've spoken to over the years, most all of them, and we've done a lot of math on reinsurance, and it looks to be a really positive investment. There's a lot of cash up front, sometimes getting it going, right? But for you're saying it's definitely been a win, and so you would just say you want to do it, and what have been the benefits for you?
I would start off small, maybe do like a $300 per car, or I don't know if that could go lower, maybe like 3-month, 3,000 mile warranty type deal. I mean, you're gonna fix the car anyways, the customer on the road, right? So might as well. I don't want to pay taxes if I don't have to, so it's a great way to defer that income.
Yeah, for sure. So
that's actually a first. Again, I'm not the subject matter expert. Married into Buy Here, Pay Here.
Right.
We do a lot of morning shows. That doesn't make me an expert, but it's the first time that I've heard the reason for reinsurance is to defer tax. You see things like RFC. Is something that people do to do that, but that's the first time that I've remember hearing that.
I honestly don't think about it as much in that context either. That's not
it's an interesting,
because we're operational coaches first, Calvin. Like, we're working with people more on this kind of day-to-day operation, so we're thinking about the things like, obviously it's a wealth builder. You're going to make those investments now, and we see that reinsurance can definitely build a lot of wealth for dealers. We can see that it solves a lot of internal challenges by having a ready solution there in terms of a warranty, service contract, gap, whatever it is. It can help solve problems quickly when the customer does have a setback. So there's those benefits internally, operationally, that you also see that are a little more difficult to measure. And then, like I say, the tax advantage of being able to put that money, you basically are spending that money now and putting it into another entity, and that lets you, treat it. The treatment that you have in your sales company, obviously gets to see some tax advantage as a result of doing that.
Yeah, it was pretty fun explaining to my banker when I was going to get financing about all the different entities and what they're doing, and because they look at my tax return and scissor tail's losing its ass, and pardon my language, and and so you got to bring in you got to show the reinsurance tax returns to show that income and explain that to your banker, especially your local banker that's not a really buy here, pay here,
financing.
Sure. It's something I've done. I don't think Michelle's ever seen it. In my own dealership years ago, I wrote a cover letter that every time I would release financials to the bank or other parties, I would have a cover letter on the dealership side and a cover letter on the RFC side. This is why this looks like this, right? And so now I do the same thing for dealers.
And with our clients too, Jim is like, I don't do accounting, but I have taken accountants through how this works and taught them how to look at it, kind of thing, and why it matters.
Why it looks so goofy.
We were talking just the other day about an accountant that he works with, that they had a really big conversation around this, and the accountant went, "Oh my gosh, I just learned a lot. And now I understand this differently." So
it's really complicated. I mean, especially with the loss of the loss you take when you sell your receivables over. If they don't know what to look for, and you really got to point that out to them, because they'll look at that and they'll be like, he's losing his, you know what, and we're not going to loan him any money, but
they do need to understand the complexities and kind of the layers of it. And I always tell dealers, look, be prepared that when you set up this RFC, you need it for tax deferral purposes, but you're going to squash your equity. Like, everybody needs to understand, we're going to squash the equity that's in the business when that happens. And as long as everybody understands, we're doing that as a strategy. It's tax strategy, and it's purposeful. We still have the same assets. We're just squashing the equity because we're moving the assets to another company. And so it's just complex stuff. And it's, when you got in the business, you didn't expect to have to know all this. I got to tell you quickly before we wrap up that We had a V8 meeting last night. We'd already socialized that you were going to be a guest on the podcast today. And one of our V8 members says, I know Calvin. He's one of the best numbers guys. That guy runs numbers in his head better than anybody I know. And I think that's part of what it takes to be a successful buy here, pay here dealer. So I'll tell you after the broadcast who it was.
All right, cool.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a fellow 20 group member, and they really had great things to say about you and said you were definitely a numbers guy and run numbers well. So that's part of what it takes. But I think we should let Calvin get back to being a car dealer, and we appreciate you making time to chat with us, especially on behalf of these dealers who are newer to the business and learning a lot of this stuff.
So before you go though, I would just like to ask you, I mean, if there's like one big piece of advice that you wish that you had when you started, what would that have been? That it's like, man, I had to learn that the hard way.
Get involved a lot sooner.
Oh, good.
You know, with your association, your state association. Or
okay.
Good.
I don't think Oklahoma has much of a learning state association, but get involved with the NIADA and join a group. Go to these the Buy Here Pay Here summits and the Buy Here Pay Here United and all that stuff, and talk to vendors and learn. Because if I would have done that when I first started off, I would be way more ahead than what I am now.
Great advice.
Great advice.
And we've seen that again and again. I see that, those folks who kind of think they've got it all figured out tend to be the ones who suffer the hardest hits, and so because they won't allow themselves to say, I don't know it all. I need to go learn the rest from some of these folks who've been there, done that.
We see that.
Yeah, definitely. We see that
frequently.
With people that we work with. So that's great advice.
It's a pride thing, I think. It's kind of a
And listen, listen, I've been around this 20 plus years. I don't know it all. Like there's tons of stuff to still figure out, right? So we're just we're learning and sharing what we learn and helping bring dealers along. And to your point, that's part of what the associations are about. And so we definitely would be recommending, find out if you've got a state association. The way to find that out is reach out to your NIADA. You can always find them at
hashtag JYSA, join your state association.
Yep. And so get out there and get a part of the association. And that's, they got a conference coming up in, you got the BHPH Summit coming up in
April. United in April.
Their summit in April, and then you've got the
National
NIADA
conference in June,
which will be both independent.
Always over my birthday. I always remember. It's always over my birthday.
That's probably why
they're kind of back to back. I mean, it's like
they really are.
And then the one in November next year, because I just wrapped up the last one.
Yeah, they do
very recently for the dealer forum.
Really growing and being popular. So so all good stuff, Calvin. We appreciate you making time.
Thank you.
Glad to get to know a little bit more about you and your operation. I look forward to stopping in on you, and when we make it back out to you.
Come on by.
Absolutely. Is it okay if I put you backstage? And if you stick around for just a minute, we'd like to give you a proper goodbye when you're done.
All right.
Excellent. Thanks again so much, Calvin. All righty.
Good stuff.
Always
fun to get to know these folks. And I didn't prepare him for the kind of the why questions, but I think it's always fun to just kind of find out.
He did great.
He did really good. I just think it's important to kind of understand the, why choose some of these things. Like we talk about, we don't have all the answers. So when we meet somebody, we say, well, we've seen dealers do this and we've seen dealers do this, and here's why they told us they did this, and here was the outcome, right? And
well, it's just a conversation we're having. Those of you who listen, we talk buy here, pay here pretty much all day. And that was part of the conversation is this, there's a way that as we're bringing new coaches in and things like that, it's like, it's great that we have experience in our own business, but it doesn't always translate to the exact same thing for the next person. So it's like approaching it as, here's a way, this has worked for me. What other, and maybe I've seen this or whatever.
Further, I can say, I know a dealer in such and such who would tell you they did this and here was the outcome. So you can call them if you like, and they'll tell you this was their experience.
Exactly. Right? All right. So it is Friday. TGIF. I mean, when's the last time people actually used that?
I don't know.
It's been a long time. It dates me because I think that was like way back when Full House was on or something like that was on a Friday night lineup on NBC or CBS or whatever.
Well, that's okay.
So thank goodness it's Friday.
Yeah.
TGIF. And it's everybody. There are very few days left to shop. If you have not started or finished your Christmas is next Wednesday.
Oh, it's next week.
It is. So I hope you all have a great Christmas. We will see you on Christmas Day. It'll be recorded then, but we're really grateful that you guys all join us. But we will see you. It will be recorded on Wednesday, and then we will be back on Friday with Brent Carmichael.
Right.
So we're really looking forward to that. Again, thank you everybody for joining us. I hope you guys have a great holiday.